Denise Williams from mHealthy. Welcome to our webinar, Exercise in You. We are going to be starting in about 2 minutes. We find often that people need just a couple of minutes to get to their desks from their prior meetings. So we will be starting in about 2 minutes. So please stand by. Thank you. All right, everybody, I think we'll get started. Again, this is Denise Williams from mHealthy, and I do want to welcome you to the first installment of our web-based Move More Physical Activity series. And today's session is called Exercise in You. With me is our special guest, TJ Shirley, who is an ACE certified personal trainer in our mHealthy Physical Activity unit. And he will be providing the lion's share of our information today. It is a real pleasure to be here with TJ. So thank you so much for coming. I would like to, first of all, even before we get started, just be sure that our audience is aware of exactly what a personal trainer does and how one gets to be a personal trainer, because I noticed that you have a title of ACE Certified Personal Trainer, and I know that in my life when I've gone to gyms and various locations, I see all kinds of people calling themselves trainers. So maybe before we even start, if you could briefly just tell us what the life of an ACE Certified Personal Trainer is like and what you need to do to be that.
Well, to become a trainer, you need to be certified through an accrediting body like ACE, which is the American Council on Exercise, or the American College of Sports Medicine. You take a test in courses that basically test your proficiency in certain levels within the field, exercise testing, prescription, to make sure that you're competent to work with clientele. Basically what we do here at the university with our training is that you would come in with a particular list of goals, whether that's weight loss, weight gain, sport-specific training, or whether you're just training for a purpose, like let's say you have a very active job, like a very physical job. We can help tailor a program that will help make your job easier or make your activities of daily living easier. So it's not just for people who want to come in and, get buff or look better. We can train for all different forms and functions, whatever your goals may be.
Right. Great. Well, thank you. That was very helpful. Today's session will be focusing on the foundations of exercise. This is the first of 4 webinars that we're going to be presenting that will help people understand some of the basics of a healthy exercise program. So even if you're like me, who sometimes has to struggle to fit in their exercise, this is something that maybe can serve as a starting point for you if you're thinking about adding to your physical activity regimen. So we'll be talking about various types of exercise, the benefits of each type, and what to do and how to get started doing it. And during the session, we're going to be providing some basic information for about the first 15 or so minutes. And then we're going to open up some time for any questions that you all may have. And if this is the first time that you've been to one of our webinars, if you notice there is an option for a menu on the right-hand side of your screen. There's a little tab. If you click on it, it opens up. There's an area for you to type in questions. And what I will do is take note of all those questions, and we'll leave a few minutes at the end for those questions to be answered. If we don't get to them all, we will then just make sure that the team gets the answers later that participated on the call. So also, if you can't hear or anything like that, let us know through the questions route because everyone is muted right now. So let's just jump right in, TJ, to talk a little bit about the basics of exercise.
Well, in any good program, we have 4 basic things that we're going to be discussing. We have the aerobic or cardiorespiratory components, the strength exercise component, flexibility, and functional fitness, which is sometimes referred to as the neuromotor exercises. We have a few examples of each listed underneath each of the subtitles, such as walking. Strength exercise would be resistance training, flexibility, obviously stretching, and then the neuromotor is a little bit more complex, but it's to improve balance, agility, and the coordination and gait.
Very good.
So we'll look at, go back one.
Oh, sorry. Forgive me, I went a little too quickly here.
So we'll start off with the aerobic exercise, looking at the benefits. So your heart is a muscle just like any other muscle in your body, and as you exercise, it grows stronger. A stronger heart is going to pump more blood to your working muscles. It's going to increase blood volume and ability to carry oxygen and reduce blood pressure. What I like to tell people, like myself, I like to lift weights. I'd rather lift weights than do aerobic activity. So I'm often guilty of not doing enough, but your heart is one of the most important muscles you have, so it's very important that you go in and work it out. I have to force myself to do it, but it's something that's very important to do to make sure you get your cardiovascular activity in so that your heart can stay strong, because, like I said, it's so important to your body.
It's kind of refreshing to hear, TJ, that even you sometimes may struggle with certain types of exercise, but it's really part of looking at a total range of activities to strengthen your entire body.
Oh, yeah. So what is it that you would need to meet the benefits or get the benefits of aerobic exercise? Is about 150 minutes of moderate intensity per week. The exercise recommendations between 30 and 60 minutes of moderate intensity exercise 5 days per week, or the 20 to 60 minutes of vigorous intensity exercise. And the difference between moderate and vigorous we're going to address here in just a moment. But you can do either modality, whether you do one continuous session or you do multiple sessions of shorter. So you can do 3 10-minute sessions as opposed to doing 30-minute session all in one shot. That's perfectly acceptable. Now I can spend 6 hours in a gym and not find time to work out, but it's important to know that doing anything is better than nothing at all. Even just 5 minutes or 8 minutes, if you can't get the full 10, something is better than doing nothing at all.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's really refreshing for a lot of us, and certainly I am old enough to remember the days when it was said, if you don't do a certain number of minutes, it's a total waste. I don't know if any of the audience maybe has ever heard that in the past, but my goodness, it really makes it daunting when you're having a busy day, and it is nice to know that if I only even have 5 minutes, that's 5 more minutes I can accumulate. And if I spend 5 minutes going on a walk from my desk somewhere, I have to come back 5 minutes, and I may have 10 minutes right there without even really knowing it. So that's a wonderful thing to know, and that if I'm not perfect, whatever I can do that day is still contributing towards my ultimate goal of being more fit. My body will keep track of that and thank me for it. So that's great to know.
What we need to also remember when we're talking about exercise as far as aerobic, and a lot of the other components as well, is that we have to do gradual progression of exercise time, frequency, intensity, and adherence, it helps to reduce risk of injury. Generally what happens is that when you get started, you're really excited to do your program. You're like, yeah, it's time to start working out.
Yep.
And you go, all right, I did 20 minutes today, and I felt great, so tomorrow I'm going to do 40 minutes because I'll feel even better. Not necessarily the case. You have to remember that if you are previously sedentary or have been inactive for a while, that you have to start off slowly to help prevent that injury. Even though you're really excited, you got to kind of pull the reins back in and make sure you go at the proper speed and the proper amount of increase in intensity. But remember that even if you can only do a few minutes at a time, that's a place to start. So something is definitely better than nothing.
And you mentioned too that one thing to maybe be aware of is pain, right? That if we do have actual pain associated with our physical activity, that may be a sign that we might be doing just a little too much at that point. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, and we'll talk about that a little bit when we talk about the rest periods for activities. So now we look at the difference between a moderate and vigorous. So we have some examples of moderate intensity being walking between 3 and 4 miles an hour, some tennis, or recreational swimming. And then we have something here called the RPE, which stands for rate of perceived exertion. It's a 12 to 13 on the Borg scale, which we'll also look at in the next few slides. Then we have more vigorous activities, such as jogging or cycling at 10 miles an hour, step aerobics, and it's a little bit higher on the Borg scale, again, which we'll show you in a second. We're kind of going to explain what the Borg scale means.
Okay. The Borg scale is an interesting one for me to think about because I haven't heard that exact term, but one thing I heard a lot in my past, and I guess with the chance I have now, I'd like to check it out with you, is that if you're exercising, that if you are not able to talk or carry on a conversation, that's a sign that you're doing too much exertion. Is that really true, TJ, or does that at all relate to the Borg scale?
Well, the Borg scale, if we hit to the next slide, is a method of measuring physical intensity. It's subjective, so it's perceived exertion, that how you feel. It's based on experiences like how increased heart rate, increased respiration and breathing rate, which has to do with your, what we call a talk test, whether you can carry on a conversation, increased sweating and muscle fatigue. It's a subjective measure. So as far as it relates to the talk test, if you and I are walking or we're exercising, we're having a conversation, but we're winded, and we have to take those breaths in between, then it means we're probably getting past the in the higher end of the moderate. If we're going along and all of a sudden either I can't talk or you can't talk, that means that I've passed that threshold of moderate into a more vigorous exercise. Right. So it's kind of a subjective test, the talk test and the Borg scale. It's different for everyone. We're at different levels.
Yeah, so I might hit my threshold earlier than you, but I could look at that over time for myself and see how I'm getting better. Would that be?
Right, and the general correlation has to do with heart rate. If we look at the next slide, you'll see that it goes from 6 to 20, and how it relates would be your scale, and this is what the research or how it was developed would say. If you're at a 6, you would multiply it by 10, so your heart rate would be 60 in an estimation. So the moderate exercise is between 12 and 13, so getting in light to somewhat hard, and then the vigorous intensity goes from 14 to 17, from somewhat hard to very hard. So that would be between 140 to 170 beats per minute. It's not exact science, meaning that you might feel like it's very hard and your heart rate might be different, but that's how the scale was made. So that's the scale we're talking about for your rate of perceived exertion when doing your activities. For the strength or resistance exercises, we're going to be looking at the benefits. What we have is increased muscle mass and strength, increased strength of ligaments and tendons, increased bone density to stave off things like osteoporosis, a higher rate of metabolism as you build more muscle mass. Muscle takes more energy to operate than fat does, and then increased longevity and quality of life through basically developing strength, making everyday activities easier.
You know, it's interesting that you're talking about increased muscle mass and strength, and I know that certainly many of us who are exercising are doing it not just for the benefits physically in terms of the things you're talking about, but we may also be trying to lose weight or do some other things. And one thing that I've often heard in my life, and would like to hear your thoughts on it, is that muscle can turn to fat and vice versa. Like if I work out for a long time and then I stop, that my muscle will turn to fat. Or if I've been inactive and I start exercising, I may feel, firmer and my clothes fit better because my fat is now turning to muscle. Is that really what's happening? Is my fat actually transforming to muscle, or what's going on with that?
No, this is one of those silly things that I hear quite often, and it's not true. Your muscle doesn't turn into fat or vice versa. When you have increased muscle mass, your muscle fibers are actually changing in diameter. As you exercise, they repair at a larger size, and so you're gaining more muscle mass, but it's the fiber size that's changing. Same thing with your fat cells. They either grow or shrink, but one does not turn into the other. So as you lose weight or you're losing fat mass, your fat cells are shrinking, but they're not going anywhere. They're just becoming smaller.
Oh, all right. Do I have this, so if I gain or lose weight, do I get more fat cells, or do they just get bigger and smaller?
Just bigger and smaller.
Oh, really? Now that's something that's interesting. Okay, very good. So, as a result of our strength exercises, how should we work with that? What's the best way to get started?
Well, adults should train major muscle groups every week using a variety of different exercises. Very light intensity is best for people who are older or advanced in age or previously sedentary or inactive, meaning if you haven't lifted weights for 20 years, it's probably best to start off light, just because you don't want to make yourself so sore you can't move. 2 to 4 sets of each exercise will help improve strength and power. And as far as the rest is concerned, which we talked about earlier, about not jumping in too fast and going too hard at it right away, is the rest period would be about 48 hours between resistance training sessions so that your muscles have time to repair. Like I said, sometimes you'll get something that's a delay onset of muscle fatigue where you're not sore right away, maybe not even the day after, but the day after that. So you want to take it easy so that you aren't so sore that you can barely move, because that's just not a good feeling.
No, not at all. I think that would make me just not want to do it at all. So I think that's really good advice.
As far as the rep range for the exercises recommended, each rep range will yield a different result, so it depends on what your goals are for when you're training. So just as a general recommendation, between 8 and 12 will help improve your strength and power, ability to move weight. 10 to 15 will help improve strength in middle-aged and older persons who are just starting to exercise. And then anything higher between the 15 and 20 helps to improve muscular endurance. And a trainer, when we talk about training, a trainer can help you decide which rep range would be appropriate for what your goals are.
Right.
Part of my job is to say, what do we want and what do we want to get out of the training session?
Sure, like you'll look at what my goals are. Like I'm not going to necessarily come to you to build big muscles, but maybe I'm finding that I just don't have the strength to do certain things that I used to before versus someone who wants to really bulk up for a bodybuilding competition. You're going to advise us very differently, sure.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, the flexibility component that we're talking about now is we have increased range of motion, or how far your joint can move through a full range of motion, and this is usually improved with flexibility. Better flexibility may help improve your performance in activities or decrease your risk of injury by helping you move through a fuller range of motion. It's also good for helping reduce stress. I know that when I do like a yoga class, it sometimes helps me just kind of calm my nerves. And it can help improve circulation. It increases blood flow to your muscles, and it also brings nourishment to get rid of waste products in your tissue that you could sometimes generate through, like, say, doing resistance training. So very beneficial.
Really good to know. I think, too, just in general, I hear, and I think we'll talk about this more later in the series, too, that really, back to your point about stress, I know many of us experience stress in our daily lives, either through work or elsewhere, and that exercise has been found over and over again to be just an incredible way to reduce feelings of stress. It may not take away what caused the stress, but it helps us to be more resilient to what we're going through, and also has a really positive impact on anxiety, depression, and other types of things that many of us might go through during our lives. And so it really does help in so many ways. It helps us physically, and it helps us in our mental and emotional world too. So that will be something, again, we'll talk about in a lot more detail in a subsequent session, but it's just another really wonderful health benefit that people sometimes don't think about.
As far as the flexibility exercises, adults should do flexibility exercise at least 2 to 4 days each week to improve range of motion. Flexibility exercises are most effective when warm, so you can do something that's when the muscles are warm. So like you can do a passive warm-up, which is like taking a hot shower, or some light aerobic activity before you stretch. You'll have better results that way than stretching cold muscles. Hold for about 10 to 30 seconds to the point of tightness or slight discomfort, repeating 2 to 4 times. And we say slight discomfort, but not pain. We don't want any pain. It's just slight discomfort. On that scale, it should always be fairly low, because pain is, sometimes you think when I've got to stretch, oh, I got to really feel it. Mm-hmm. Just slight. Mm-hmm. And you do that over time to help slowly increase your range of motion, as opposed to forcing it.
And never again, the pain is always the warning, of course. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Next, we'll be looking at functional fitness. This is any exercise that will help improve a balance or improve agility, which is the ability to change direction efficiently. Improves muscular strength. And then when you have a combination of all these, why we're so concerned about these is, as we grow older, it helps reduce the risk of falls. You're able to increase the stamina to pursue the things that you're already doing that you enjoy. And also, as we mentioned at the beginning of the session, the ability to perform a job with physical demands. It can help make your job, if it's a physical job, easier and probably a little bit safer as well.
Sure, absolutely.
So functional fitness is also sometimes referred to as neuromotor fitness. Is recommended for 2 to 3 days per week. What we're looking for these exercises will be to improve motor skills. That's, again, to balance, agility. Maximizes physical function, prevents falls in older adults. Examples of would be things like Tai Chi or yoga, where they have a balance component in them as well as a little bit of strength. And we're looking about 20 to 30 minutes a day is appropriate. Again, when you come in to do training, we can also incorporate this. There are other modes where you can do incorporating balance training through different apparatus to help increase functional fitness. But it is a very important component. But the bottom line is when we're looking at exercises, the evidence is indisputable. If you come into exercise, the benefits are going to outweigh the risks. These are just the foundations, but most people will see some sort of benefit using any combination. These are the basic starting points. You use these, you should see some sort of improvement. The important part is to start slow, especially if you haven't exercised in a long time. You want to use that good motivation and say, yeah, I'm ready to get going, but start off slow so that you can make sure that you don't get hurt right off the bat and have to take a seat right away. And if starting a new program seems so overwhelming, then there are always people that you can consult within Healthy to help you get started, if you can't. Yeah. So that's what we're here for.
And right now, just as a segue to talk a little bit about our rewards program that's going right now, this webinar is eligible for one of our activity rewards, and also having a personalized exercise session right now with TJ or one of our personal trainer team is also available, where they will provide you with this kind of personal care and attention. And this is all free, no charge to you during this time. So you can always go to the mHealthy website or contact us if you would like more information about this. You will also get a copy of this presentation after the session for all of you that participated in appreciation. And just a couple of other quick things. Again, there's some promotions that we have going right now that are on the screen. So I will just let you read those on your own. And then I wanted to also just very quickly, before we go into our questions, mention that we do have, as I said, 3 other sessions in this webinar series. Will be at the same time, 12 to 12:30, just like this session. March 28th, we're going to be looking at the relationship of exercise and eating behaviors as a way of maintaining weight, and how also proper nutrition can help enhance your exercise experience, how to have healthy snacks, how to prepare for exercise, what to eat to recover from an exercise session, all of that. As I mentioned before, on April 4th, we'll be talking about exercise and stress management. And really looking on April 11th for our final one is not only how to get started with the program if you just are really looking at where do I go, but also what's really important, I think, for many of us is how do we keep it up? As TJ mentioned, we're very excited often to get started, but then something goes awry and we just sort of go off the rails. How can we keep ourselves on track, especially as hopefully by then we'll get better weather and we'll start feeling like spring is here and we want to get out and get active. So just wanted to keep those on your radar as well, and hope you will also join us for those sessions. TJ, I'm now going to open up the questions, and again, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to send those along. I do have a couple that have come in that I wanted to ask. Let's see. The first one, TJ, is from someone who sounds like they have a desk job, and they're asking, I'm at my desk all the time, and it's sometimes hard for me to even get away for a few minutes. What is it that I can maybe do in the short time I might have available in my office, maybe even at my desk or in my chair or something where I don't have to actually leave? And that, I'm sure that could be for many people. I run into a lot of people who have to be by a phone. They might be doing reception, or they might really be tied to a certain location. So what are some quick things you might suggest to this person?
There's a lot of forms of exercise you can do that are what we consider body weight resistance, meaning you don't have to have any equipment to do it. Things like squats or wall sits, you know, exercises that can be done at your desk with no equipment at all. We have lists of when we did consultations, and we have information packs available that are strictly at office exercises. You know, squats in your office, doing some lunges, stretches as well, you know, to get you up and out of your chair and get you moving around. So there's a lot of options that are out there. I mean, there's too many to list here. You know, I could train somebody for hours doing just body weight activity. Depends on how much space you have and how comfortable you feel having people watch you exercise at your office. But yeah, there's definitely things that you can do with just your own body weight that would provide excellent resistance training or exercise of some sort. Also, just, you know, taking a walk down to the, you know, the water cooler, or take a walk around the office. Take the long way back to your office when you're coming back. You know, get a few extra steps in, you know.
Stop and say hi to a couple of coworkers on the way. That sounds wonderful. Another question that may be related a little bit to that one. You were saying that you could use your own body weight as resistance. What if someone's asking, what if I do want to start lifting weights? How heavy a weight should I start with? Or is there something where I could get, you know, I'm wondering about myself too, hand weights or something? If someone's just starting out, how heavy a weight should they be trying to lift?
Well, that's interesting. Remember we talked about the RPE scale earlier, the Borg scale? If you're not sure exactly what type of weight it is, we can just use that scale to say, all right, if I'm starting off and I want to do moderate activity, then you want to be within that 12 to 13 range. And so what you do is you choose a weight. Let's say you have dumbbells or you're at the gym. You pick up that weight and you try to do, you know, let's say you're 8 to 12 repetitions, and you go, oh, yeah, that's really easy. That's how we use the RPE scale to say, all right, without doing a lot of complex math, this is how we're going to move along. We say, all right, these are too light. It only feels like a 10 on the scale, so I'm going to pick a heavier weight, and then I'm going to lift it and go, oh, that feels more like a 12 to me. And then as you get better, even eventually that weight might start to feel too light, and you just progress on. So the RPE scale can be used for a lot of different things, not just cardiovascular workout.
That's very interesting. Another quick one, what should my heart rate be at?
It depends on what zone you want to be in, or what it is you're training for. You want to elevate your heart rate. And again, that Borg scale relates to heart rate as far as, you know, the 6 is a 60, the 12 is a 120. So You want to have your heart rate elevated, but it would really depend on what you're training for. If you're doing long distance running, you want to keep it at, I believe the exercise recommendations are between 55 and 85% is the range that you can work out at, but it would depend on the activity that you're doing at the time to say which is appropriate. 55 is very, low heart rate if you're doing like sprint intervals. But it might be more appropriate if you're just starting exercise and you're trying the treadmill or whatever exercise machine for the first time. Keep it around that 55 range to be on the safe side and then build your way up.
Okay, great, thank you. Another question. I work out vigorously and never feel like eating afterwards. If I feel hungry, I think I've not done enough exercise. But then my friend says she happens to get hungry after exercising and eats more than normal, and that this could even maybe become a reason for not exercising at all because you just get so hungry and you feel like you're eating too much. What do you think about that kind of a situation where some people don't feel hungry at all, some people feel too hungry? What should you do?
I mean, it really depends. Like sometimes people can exercise so hard they'll actually make themselves nauseous or are upset. A lot of the times when people exercise vigorously, especially if they haven't been doing it before, like say you're just starting an exercise program, you're putting out more energy, so your body is demanding more energy. You put out more and then your body goes, I'm hungry. We just used up all this energy. And it's all right to be hungry. You just have to make sure that as you go back to eat that you don't overdo it. As far as not feeling hungry afterwards, I would recommend trying to, eat regularly because you're going to want to restore your body. You need that nourishment to come in and do the repairs that your body needs. But, I'm not qualified to give too much information about diet because I'm not a registered dietitian. But those two scenarios are not that uncommon at all.
Sure. And I think that certainly can also be brought up in the next session, but I do think there's some physiological changes too when the blood is being directed to your larger muscles. It tends to not be as much pooled into the stomach. So if we happen to have food in the stomach, it may be that the stomach isn't getting what it needs to digest, and sometimes that can be the stomach upset. Or you may not feel that hungry again because your stomach's just sort of not the top priority right now. So I think it can go in different ways from what our dietitian team has informed us. So I think that's a topic that will come up against much more later on. Now, TJ, what I'm seeing is that there are quite a few really excellent questions, and we have run out of time. So what I'm going to do is be sure we record all of the questions that have been submitted. So before signing off, if you haven't submitted a question, please do now. And then we'll leave the line open for a couple of minutes. And then we will get TJ to look at all the questions that we haven't answered yet. And we're very sorry that we ran out of time, but we have a lot of great inquiries. And we'll make sure that the group is emailed the answers. So you'll get the questions and the answers from TJ in the next couple of days. And one question was, will the presentation be emailed? And the answer is yes. You will get it right after this session, and we also will be sending you a very brief request for a survey to tell us what you thought of the webinar so that we can continuously improve. So we will need to sign off because we're running a couple minutes late. So thank you so much. Please submit your questions, and we do appreciate your time. And we'll look forward to seeing you all again next week, March 28th, for our presentation on exercise and eating. Thank you, TJ.
Oh, no, thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.